Hey everybody. On today's episode, we're going to be doing a lentil recipe. It's a recipe that can be found in tapas in Spain. It's not the kind of dish you'd find in your normal tourist areas, but it's something that you could find in areas off the beaten track. It's earthy, it's flavorful, it's simple, it fills you up, and it gives you the strength to go on with your day. It's very simple. It's a little recipe known as lentejas salteadas con setas, or sauteed lentils with mushrooms. Something worth checking out. I think you'll enjoy it. If it rains, you might like it too with a nice glass of wine. Anyways, let's go check it out. Before I forget, if you want to have a good wine to pair with our dish today, look for something that's called a Mencía. Basically, it's a wine that you can find in northwestern Spain. Fruity, tastes a bit like sour cherries, bit of pepper. It's really good. If you don't have that, or if you only have French wines, try Pinot Noir. Anyways, back to the episode. So we're going to make some lentejas salteadas con setas, or sauteed lentils and mushrooms. We're going to need 250 grams of small brown lentils. Now you could also use the green ones, which are known as castellanas in Spanish, but the browns are just as good and they're flavorful. We're also going to need 200 grams of cremini mushrooms, or little brown mushrooms, or you can mix with 100 grams of oyster mushrooms and 100 of cremini. The first step is to rinse off our lentils. It's always good practice to do this. Sometimes you find little pebbles or sticks, all kinds of little bits of debris. It's always good practice just to wash them off, get them all nice and clean before we get ready for our next step. Afterwards, we drain them off, give them a quick once over, and then we put them into a saucepan and we cover with a liter of cold water. Now this is very important. You don't add any salt. You bring it up to a boil, and then what we do is we lower the heat, let it simmer, and we're going to let it cook for 35 minutes. This will cook it almost all the way through, but not quite. Now we're going to assemble our aromatics. We're going to chop up an onion, and we're going to crush a clove of garlic. This is going to be the basis for the sauce and the flavoring of our lentils. Now, you can just crush the garlic like this, but I tend to mince it up even finer. It's really up to you. We're also going to need some butter, 25 grams worth. Now this is to embellish the flavor of our mushrooms, which we're going to saute. If you want to go vegan, omit the butter. But first, let's go into the garden. Let's go check out and see what we've got there. A little bit of freshness goes a long way, and we're going to go hunt for some parsley in the garden. And I gather up about 3 tablespoons worth, roughly, a small handful. We're going to wash this off and get ready to start cooking our lentils. So the first step, we put 30 mils of olive oil into a pan. We get it hot. Next, we put in our onions, and we're going to cook them until they're translucent, followed by adding our minced up garlic in there. Like I said before in earlier episodes, if you put your garlic in too early, it might burn, and that turns everything bitter. So stir it around, then we add in our butter. Now this is going to add the richness when we start sauteing our mushrooms. We add a little more olive oil, because you'd be surprised, mushrooms absorb a lot of liquid. So we put our mushrooms in with our butter and our oil and onions, and then we just get ready to saute it or make it jump. And as you see, swirl it around, get them to jump, they're sauteed. Once that's done, after about 10 minutes, we add our cooked lentils to the dish. Make sure you get everything in there, swirl it around a little bit, and then we're going to add some lemon juice, between 7 and 20 mils. It's about half a lemon's worth. And finally, we get some of that chopped up parsley that we gathered from the garden, and we salt at the very end. If you add your salt too early, the lentils become tough. And there you have it. A tapas worth sharing with a nice glass of Mencía. Buen provecho.